stuff. Are you close to a railway that carries hazardous chemicals? There's a rail, one of the main railways is in front of my house, not right in front of the house, but it's, 200 yards away, something like that.
It's really close to your house.
Yeah. So if something happens on that railway, if they're transporting hazardous waste or something like that, that could be a big thing to look at.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Homestead HQ, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. My name is Shelly.
I'm Jason. Guys, it's glad to have y'all back. We're back in the saddle, having all kinds of fun times on our homesteads and doing stuff. We'll get to sponsors, the people that make this show possible. Vac-Master, go to vacmasterfresh.com. And once again, Shelly has her Vac-Master unboxed and it is going. Yeah. But go to vacmasterfresh.com. They've got, if you use the code Homestead, they've got 15% off your order, whether that's bags, chamber sealers, knives, whatever they got on their website, you'll save 15%.
And if you've never ordered a chamber sealer from them, if this is your first time going to their website, you can sign up for 10% off your first order. So with our 15 and their 10, that's 25% off a chamber sealer. That's a great deal.
Yeah, and they've always got sales going on. We're keeping you abreast of the extra bonus sales that they're having. So check those guys out, vacmasterfresh.com. Also, signaturesolar.com. Go use the code Homestead. I know that'll save you $50 off your order. For us, use code Homestead. And I've got, as soon as it comes in, I've got one of their Anchor solar-powered coolers coming in. And I am excited to get that for Whitney, not for me, but for her. So we'll get that, and we'll have a review on it as soon as it comes in. But, guys, go check those people out. They help make the show possible. And that, for us to make millions of dollars every year on this. So.
I wish.
Yeah. We got so much money coming in, we're just burning it in the stoves.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Shelly, what have you done this week?
My week has been consumed with Christmas parades. Or the Christmas parade is actually the biggest. Did you know that this is that our Christmas parade is the biggest one in Kentucky, in the state of Kentucky?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Glasgow Christmas Parade is the biggest one in Kentucky. So we had we put a float in the Christmas parade just about every year. However, for the last 2 years, I think we did not. And I'm talking about like where I work, the company that I work for. And so we bought a new building and moved and had to build a new manufacturing building next door and all that kind of stuff. So for the last 2 years, we didn't do the Christmas parade because it was just too much. And so this was our first year back. The theme this year was rock and roll Christmas. So we built this like amazing float that had it had a giant guitar. I wonder if I brought up a picture, if I could.
Yeah, you showed me the picture of it, and I was like, holy cow. I was like, y'all take this thing serious.
Yeah, well, it's a big deal. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if you can you see that? It's got a giant guitar down the side of it and the piano keys. It was all lit up. That thing that's on the top that has like music notes and stuff on it and records, that is a conveyor that we build. And we turned it on its side and it had music notes. It was turned on and spinning around and all that kind of thing. And then we had different decades. We had the Thunderbirds and Pink Ladies from the 50s. And then we had some hippies from the 60s. And we had Elvis, and we had a guy dressed up as John Travolta from Staying Alive, the white suit. Yeah. And we had Joan Jett and Eddie Van Halen. And so all these people were dressed up. It's all people that I work with. We took first place in the large business division, which is what we're in. And then we also got Grand Marshal. So they take all of the first place winners from all the different categories that they have, And then the best float out of those gets grand marshal. So we were pretty excited. We were pretty happy, and people were like, going crazy over it because of how neat it looked. And the really cool thing about when we do the Christmas parade, like we build conveyors and all that kind of stuff. We ship them all over the world and everything. But we're able to bring in, like, our engineers help out on this and everything. And people can get really creative, and it's really cool. So I enjoy doing the Christmas parade. It's a lot of fun.
I'm kind of a Scrooge. I don't go to any Christmas parades. I'm like Bob Humbug.
I know it's not Homestead related, but it pretty much consumed my week.
Well, hey, yesterday I did. One of the ladies that comes to church with us, she homeschools both her daughters, and they had a homeschool craft, like a Christmas craft fair yesterday. So we went to it, and her two daughters had made bath scrubs and or salt scrubs or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. So
sugar scrubs is usually what they call them, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of girly stuff. So they had their little booth set up and all this stuff, and me and my wife went up there, and I bought a bunch of stuff from them and looked around. They were just ecstatic. I was like, I gave them so much money, and I'm like, just pick out whatever that'll cover. And they're like, that's too much. And I'm like, just do it. So I bought a bunch of stuff from them. They were super excited, and it was cool to see younger kids being entrepreneurs. And they're like, they were telling me about it. They're like, we spent, so many days making this stuff and packaging it up and everything. And I'm like, that's awesome. And all these other kids were selling, they had hot chocolate mixes, they had wood crafts and just cookies and all kinds of stuff. So we spent yesterday doing that. And then we went to another little, I think it's called Charms on the Farm. And I had some of the best kettle corn ever in lemonade. Wow. This woman made caramel kettle corn, and then she had like 5 different flavors of lemonade. And I got a lemonade, I think it's a Blue Lagoon. I was like, this stuff is awesome.
I love kettle corn. I love it.
This stuff was good. It had like a smoky flavor to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this stuff's good. That, and then I found one guy, he makes, he's around here close to Bowling Green. He makes a bunch of wooden stuff out of whiskey barrels. So I got his card, and man, he had chess sets, pins, all kinds of stuff made out of whiskey barrel wood.
We'd love to have him at the festival.
That's what I went for. I was
snagging
vendors for that. So, and then there was something called Wicked Potato. So where they do baked potatoes with all kinds of barbecue and all kinds of stuff on them. So,
oh yeah, like loaded potatoes.
Yeah, but then I found out, the teriyaki place was going to be open with their food truck over by the house, and I was like, I'm not doing barbecue potatoes. I'm doing maki, the teriyaki. So I stopped in there and got teriyaki. But that, and then the weather was good today, so I did some stuff outside. It was darn near 60 today, so I did some stuff outside. Lincoln rode his 4-wheeler around for a while, and then this week I've just been focused on doing a bunch of work. I've got some stuff I need to finish before Christmas, so I was kind of pounding on that. And there's not a ton of stuff really to do right now at my place, so I need to get the greenhouse done. I'll get it done one of these days. So I'll wait till it's super.
Gotta get it done before spring so you can plant stuff in it.
I know. Maybe I want to take like a week off at Christmas and just work here at the house. So if I can take a week off at Christmas, I'll just work on the greenhouse, whether it's freezing cold outside or not. So, but then the greenhouse, once you get it closed in and everything, it should be nice and warm to work in.
Right.
So, but that's what I've gotten done. So nothing super exciting. So hopefully we'll have some lambs pretty soon. Would be nice.
It'd be good.
Yeah. So what kind of awesome news have you got?
Have you been hearing about the drones of New Jersey?
Somebody said something that in a chat the other day about it. It's like, have you seen?
I think it was Nick. I think Nick that's in our group because he's from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So these drones have been flying up and down the coast of New Jersey and some into the lower part of New York City, like Manhattan Island. And people are pissed off about it because nobody's giving them any answers. And the governor is just kind of like, well, it's just, it's okay. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. All that kind of stuff. They're not telling anything or giving anybody any answers. They said that it started back in November when there was apparently there's a big golf club in that's Trump's, that Trump owns it. It's in Bedminster. And there was drones flying over that back in November.
Yeah.
And it's been going on daily since then. And the people that live around there are getting torqued up about it, and nobody is giving answers as to what's going on. But I mean, if there's enough that people are getting riled up about it, that's what's happening. Like, what is that?
Are these like big drones, or are they like civilian drones, or what?
The video that I watched, the one that I saw, it was like, it looked like it was round, and it had 4 lights on it on the bottom of it. And I mean, it's a video of it up in the air, and who knows how high up it is, but you could clearly see that it was something, some kind of drone or something. But I don't know how big they are, and then another video, it looked totally different. So they're different types of drones, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's happening over in New Jersey, but who knows?
I hadn't heard much about it. I mean, Nick was asking if we'd seen any in Kentucky. I hadn't seen anything. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be different if they were civilian drones as opposed to military drones.
Yeah, but so many of them. I mean, they're like flying all over the place.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. So
if that was happening in Kentucky, we'd shoot that crap down.
Did you know you can get that's like a super big felony to shoot a drone down?
Even if it's a civilian-owned drone?
Yes. It's a super big felony. You can't even shoot one down. I was watching a YouTube video, and they were talking about if you could shoot a drone down or not with a shotgun. And they're like, we can't even shoot our own drone that we own down with a shotgun on camera because we'll get in trouble. Something to do with the FAA and all that crap.
But you can shoot ducks out of the sky, right?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to shoot a drone down unless it's a end of the world kind of deal and the FAA is not there.
Well, I can't imagine that if somebody is feeling threatened by that or whatever, that I don't know. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm just going to buy a net gun and shoot a net over it and capture it and then tell the people.
That may work.
Yeah, tell the people come get it. And then you can find out who it is. But no, I need to touch up on that. I don't know. I kind of zoned out a little bit. I've been watching TikTok and just trash on TikTok, of course, You
should go watch the videos. I bet there's videos of them on TikTok.
I would say, I don't know. Everything that's popping up on TikTok is still a lot of the stuff in North Carolina and stuff like that going on. So that's been my feed on TikTok.
I don't know if you all have been watching Billy at Permapastures Farm. He's been doing a lot of videos with a lot of different people where they've been testing the soil. And the last one that I watched, they were talking about the black helicopters that were coming around out there and how they're not marked and all of that kind of stuff, which, I mean, you've got to have markings on those. You're supposed to anyway. Yeah. And these are completely like have nothing on them. And they've got these big balloons underneath them that are, I think they call them sniffers or something, but they collect data. They'll fly low over a place. I don't know. It's kind of messed up, but he's been doing a lot of videos letting people know, y'all, that whole mess out there, it's still a mess. It's still happening. People are still displaced. I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. It may be a rumor, but I heard that like Child Protective Services was coming in and taking kids because people were living in tents and it's freezing, and they're saying that, they're not providing for their children. So there's that issue. I mean, it's a mess what's going on out there.
Oh yeah, I've been watching all that stuff. I talked to him a couple times, and whenever he gets some stuff going out there and needs some hands and feet, I'm planning on going back out there and helping him with some of the remediation stuff. I was like, let me know when you get to that point. Actually, him and Michelle started the 501c3 for the remediation part of it. So go check them out. I guess you can go to Permapastures Farms website, and there'll be a link to the 501c3 for the remediation.
Let me check it out and see.
But yeah, like I said, I told him, I'm like, when you need some hands and feet, let me know, because I can get away for a little while and come help you on that. But yeah, it's still a horrible ordeal. It's going to take years to get everything back over there the way it used to be. And it's never going to be the same as it was.
So they have a link on their website that says Hurricane Helene Relief Efforts. You can click on that link. And then they have a Give, Send, Go set up, which I guess is kind of like a GoFundMe kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can donate money to that. There's one set up for the Helene thing and one set up for Williams Give, Send, Go, which he's doing stuff to help with the Helene thing too. You can give to either one of them.
But yeah, it's a mess. It's going to be a mess over there for years to come.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of leads into our topic of the day, which I kind of came up with this on my own as far as risk assessment. And I've got notes and all kinds of stuff, so I'm going to read off the notes. I actually did some work for this. So,
and I slept today because I paraded last night. So Jason did all the work for this one.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad this is recording so I can play it back later. I can take and do AI stuff with this now. It's like Jason did all the work for this. So, all right. But yeah, risk assessment, essentially identifying the most likely threats in your area. This can go for a lot of different things. It can go for disaster stuff. It can go, natural disasters, man-made disasters, civil unrest, all that stuff. Essentially, and we'll start off. What is a risk assessment? That's a mouthful. Is essentially simple terms on it is understanding potential dangers and their likelihood. So, kind of the importance of balancing the likelihood with the impact. Some of the stuff, your basic risk assessment. There's three questions you can ask yourself. What threats are most likely to occur here? How severe would the consequences be? And what can I do to mitigate that risk? So if you're looking natural disasters, in Kentucky, we're not going to have any major hurricane stuff. So you can kind of cancel that off. If we get hurricanes coming up through from the Gulf, it just turns in to essentially we'll get a few inches of rain and a little bit of wind. So we're not going to have that unless they geoengineer the storm like they did in North Carolina. So most likely, like your natural disasters, some of the stuff in the natural disasters, you're looking hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, tornadoes, floodings, and winter storms. So the big things in Kentucky, at least in our part of Kentucky, wildfires are not a major concern. We get some brush fires every now and then, but that's only going to burn up, a few acres of row crop ground or something like that. The biggest things that we've got to look at are tornadoes, flooding, and then like ice storms.
Yeah.
So
we don't live very far from a fault line either.
Well, yeah, I forgot earthquakes. That the New Madrid fault is going to go off one of these days, and it's.
Well, that thing happened and reversed the Mississippi River one time.
Yeah, that was like early 1900s, I think.
Yeah.
I want to say
it completely changed the geography of Western Kentucky too.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at a map, that's why Kentucky is all curly over there at that end where the Mississippi River is at. That New Madrid fault happened and an earthquake happened and reversed the Mississippi River for a bit and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they had an earthquake out in California last week and then had a tsunami warning for it. So
yep.
I watched some girl. She was standing in her backyard, and there's an in-ground swimming pool, and you could see the water almost like the ocean as it was going. Like this whole
Really?
pool. Yeah, this whole pool. The water was just. It looked like the ocean in this backyard swimming pool, and it was during the earthquake. I was like, "That's crazy."
Wow.
So, but yeah, take a look. Take a look at your common natural disaster risk that are in your area. I know, like in Oregon, Washington, that area, and then in the Rockies, wildfires are a big thing. Be able to know how to contend with that kind of stuff in your area. So sit down, make a list of all your occurrences that could happen. Natural disaster wise. Of course, you've got man-made disasters. You've got a lot of the stuff man-made disasters, industrial accidents, power grid failure, chemical spills, terrorism. Look at some of the stuff. Are you close to a railway that carries hazardous chemicals? There's a rail, one of the main railways is in front of my house, not right in front of the house, but it's, 200 yards away, something like that.
It's really close to your house.
Yeah. So if something happens on that railway, if they're transporting hazardous waste or something like that, that could be a big thing to look at. Power grid failures, how to deal with power grid failures. Do you have backup generators? Do you have solar? Do you have solar generators? Stuff like that, how to deal with it. Essentially, industrial accidents and chemical spills, that's the same thing. Look at the people up in Ohio that had that major train derailment. There's nothing on the news with it, but they're still dealing with that kind of stuff. Terrorism, something, a terrorist attack in your city, something like that, how that can affect what's going to go down, how you're going to deal with that kind of risk. Also, then another category I've got in there is societal disruptions, as far as like economic collapse, civil unrest, cyber attacks. That stuff happens all the time. As far as cyber attacks, we just don't know about it. I mean, and then heck, we've got civil unrest. We're coming up on J6 for the election to be certified, and then also the 20th for Inauguration Day. Everybody's saying that there's going to be major stuff going down those 2 days. So be prepared. I don't know how big the civil unrest is going to be in Kentucky. Maybe in Louisville and Lexington it might be big, but I don't think in Bowling Green it's not going to be too awful much.
Louisville and Lexington were the only counties in Kentucky that were voting predominantly blue, weren't they?
Pretty much. That's
most of the rest of the state was red.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the way it is in a lot of these other states. The big metropolitan areas are blue and everything else is red.
I kind of feel like if something like that is going to happen, and I don't know, there's a lot of people saying that there is something that's going to happen. It's probably going to happen in Washington, D.C. So, I don't know.
And I think if it does happen, it's going to happen in the huge metropolitan areas.
Definitely.
Like D.C., New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, the real major big cities is where something like that's going to go down. I don't think something big is going to go down in Bowling Green, Kentucky, honestly.
No, I don't either.
And if it does, have ways to deal with it. And then also on your risk management, don't be in one of those big cities when something like that's going to go down. I mean, steer clear of those. I've got no desire to be in one of those big cities ever, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either.
I could care less about that. So, and part of your risk management too is researching some of the threats in your areas. Like as far as how to find that out, using some of your local resources. You can check, and some of this, when I was looking at some of this, check FEMA's hazard maps. So I've not looked at those. Apparently FEMA's got hazard maps that you can check and see what goes on. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that. go check out, talk to your local emergency planners, see what their plans are. There's community preparedness projects and programs going on in most of these counties and cities. Check with some of those. And another big thing is, and it's cliche to say, but history repeats itself. So check on some historical data. Your historical data is pretty much going to be as far as weather related and natural disasters. You know, if there's not been a tornado in your city in 200 years, the tornado threat is probably not that big. But with weather manipulation, now who knows? Have you found FEMA's hazard maps?
Yeah, I'm looking at the one for Kentucky.
What do we got?
Hold on a minute, it's loading. Keep talking. This might take a minute.
And then, I mean, some of the other stuff, pay attention to your geography. Coastal areas, they're going to get hurricanes and flooding. Your inland areas, tornadoes, drought, stuff like that. And then urban versus rural considerations also. Your infrastructure versus isolation risk. Look at that. Also listen to your community. Talk to your neighbors. Find out, talk to your neighbors, find out who your neighbors are. Ask them stuff that they've seen. Your local first responders, talk to them about stuff that they've seen in the past, especially if you're new to an area. Talk to the people that have lived there a long time. See what kind of risks are out there, and on that, and you can get a real good sign. I've lived in the same area my whole life, so I know most of the risk of what goes on here.
So they have different maps for different things. So like right now, I'm looking at it's a a FEMA map that has the concentration of earthquakes. So of course, it's up the West Coast because they have fault lines all up the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some down around Florida, and then there's a big concentration over in Western Kentucky and that whole area where the New Madrid fault line is at. And so it has different, each county, and this has got all of the counties of the United States. Each county has a different color code based on the severity of the, risk, I guess. So I guess it just depends on what you're looking for. Like if I wanted to look up tornadoes or if I wanted to look up flooding or earthquakes, let me look up civil unrest.
While you're looking that up, and you can go in, once you've got some of that, you can start evaluating your personal risk factor. Yeah. That's, your home vulnerabilities, family needs, and then daily life and work. Some of your home where you live, you sit in a floodplain, fire prone area, stuff like that. Are you close to industrial facilities, railroads? Like I said, I'm close to a main railroad line. So I look at it and see kind of what they've got transporting day-to-day stuff on there. So check out where you live, what threats are next to you. Are you in a huge, big population area? If there's civil unrest that you've got to deal with. And then part of it, also another thing is your family needs. You've got kids, elderly, disabled people. That's going to require a special plan as far as your risk assessment. And then also, Shelly and I, like us, we've got pets and livestock. You got to consider about risk mitigation on that.
I was watching. Did you ever watch that? What was that? That Homestead reality show that was on with the Rainies or whatever?
Oh yeah, Homestead Rescue.
Yeah. So there was a homestead. I want to say it was in Alaska. It was someplace. It might have been upper northwest United States. But they had a bunch of trees around their house, and there was problems with wildfires in the area and all that stuff. So they actually ran a drill like because they had livestock and their homestead, and they were planning on cutting trees back from around that were real close to their house and stuff, but they ran a drill to figure out, okay, because they had like a horse and they had some goats and sheep, and so they wanted to figure out how long it took them to get these animals packed up and get them out of there away from the wildfire, like how much time it was going to take them once they got notified that they had to evacuate. That's not a bad idea.
Oh yeah.
I mean, especially if you live in an area that has, that historically has a lot of wildfires. That's not a bad idea to have like a fire drill, I guess is what you would call it, and do that whole plan to find out how long it's going to take you to get your animals out. And you got to think about animals and food and where you're going to take them to and all that kind of stuff. But when I know, like when Hurricane Helene was coming through, and then that other one that was right after, there's a lot of people in neighboring states that I see it all over Facebook all the time. They'll come out and say, hey, I've got 50 acres in such and such town. You can bring your livestock here, and, they'll help out with that kind of thing. You just need to have a plan in place, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen a bunch of that, where people are like, I've got so-and-so land, bring your animals, we'll keep them until you can get back on your feet and get your place fixed.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of this is, also we're talking about a lot of natural disasters, stuff like that. Part of it is also looking at your risk, looking what's around you, whether you've got gang activity, stuff like that. If you've got a bad part of town and, Joe Blow's over here cooking meth and the end of the world kind of pops up, what kind of threat are you going to have to deal with there? A good place to go is, what's his name? I'll think of it here in a minute. But Forward Observer. Forward Observer's got a great thing on risk management and looking and building your knowledge base with that. But it's knowing threats in your area, what's going on there, who has valuable intel, who can you talk to about stuff like that, and then as far as rank your threats in likelihood and impact. Use a matrix on stuff: high likelihood, high impact, your highest priority. What's the biggest major thing that's going to happen and going to have the biggest impact on your life? And I mean, essentially there's an 80-20 rule on some of this. 80% of benefits come for preparing for the top 20% of threats. So there's no reason for me to worry about, there's no reason for me to plan for something that's never going to happen, or there's like a 1% chance of this threat or something like that happening in my area. There's really not any need to plan for that. But tornadoes, spend a lot of your time prepping for tornadoes if you live in a place that's prone to tornadoes. And Tornado Alley has kind of been shifting towards us in the last several years, it seems like. Whether that's man-made or natural causes, we don't know. But,
well, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people in Kentucky have basements.
Yeah.
You need, and just about every county has tornado shelters that you can go to.
Yeah.
If you don't have a basement, because that is a threat that we have. It is something that we have to, have a plan to mitigate that. It's a very real thing that happens here. Something that we don't talk about in Kentucky that I kind of think is a threat.
What's that?
Sinkholes.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a literal honeycomb. We have what both of us are probably about 40 minutes from the entrance of Mammoth Cave.
Yeah.
And that Mammoth Cave is the biggest cave system in the world, the biggest known cave system. And they don't even know all of it. There are parts of it that have been unexplored. So the whole part of Kentucky, you have like the limestone that's underneath a granite cover, and that's what causes the cave systems. That is happening. I mean, in Bowling Green over on Dishman Lane, it opened up over there. What was that, about 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, one of my fraternity brothers was driving and fell in it when it did. So I lost power.
I was going to say, what happened to you? You're in the dark. Oh my God, it's an emergency.
Let me switch batteries. Hold on.
But they had, I'm sorry if there's noise. My dog is over here getting into stuff. But that sinkhole opened up on Dishman Lane, and then I'm sure that some of you all out there remember this. There was a sinkhole that opened up under the Corvette Museum. That's probably been about 15 years ago, I guess. And when was it?
It's been sooner than that.
Really?
Yeah, but
it swallowed up about a dozen Corvettes. And I mean, some of them were priceless. Like they had been loaned by families or whatever that owned them. Lola, stop it. Good night. But they had been owned by families that donated them, and they turned into crumpled messes in the bottom of a sinkhole. So that's a very real thing in Kentucky. It happens here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got a sinkhole back in one of the back pastures. And that's one of the things my wife is scared to death. She's like, is that sinkhole going to open up one of these days and swallow the house? I'm like, it's far enough away. It's not going to do anything. But in Kentucky, our mitigation strategy on sinkholes is to throw washing machines and old refrigerators and cars in them. It's like, we'll close them up that way.
That's how we roll.
We used to, when I was younger and before I had a good place to shoot, we would go out. There's a couple sinkholes people threw washing machines and all kinds of crap in, and we'd go out there and pull a washing machine out and shoot it with guns all the time, and then just stuff it back in the sinkhole.
I laugh at that because, I mean, you're right. When we first moved to Kentucky, there was a guy that we rented from, and anytime we needed to get rid of like big stuff, he'd say, I got a sinkhole out in the back. You can go dump it out there. And I remember at the time thinking, doesn't that like get into your water? And he goes, oh, we don't worry about that. And I'm like, I think you probably should worry about that.
Oh yeah. Now I got in an argument with the guy. I had a sinkhole at my other house, and we would take, when we did a lot of concrete work then, so we were constantly tearing out old concrete, and we'd use our lumber, our forms for a certain while, and finally they'd just get trash. And all it is 2x4s and 2x8s and stuff like that. So we would take all that old concrete, dump it in the sinkhole, back the dump truck in, dump it in there, and then we'd throw all our old form lumber in there. And a guy got all over me. He's like, you can't be dumping in this sinkhole. I'm like, first of all, it's my sinkhole on my property. And I'm like, we're throwing old wood in there. I said, it's no different than a tree branch falling in there. And I said, the concrete is essentially rock and sand. He's like, you can't be doing that. I was like, go report me. I was like, whatever. So every now and then we take a bobcat and push everything in there and throw some dirt on top of it, and it looked pretty for a while. But it would eventually, a big rain, it'd just wash everything down in that sinkhole, and you never knew it was there.
Yep.
But yeah, that's on your risk management and likelihood of stuff. Just look, get a risk management kind of thing going. It'd be good to sit down, figure out what natural disasters, what man-made disasters, what kind of social disasters could happen in your area. Know your neighbors and stuff like that. Figure out, if the grid does go down and we've got social unrest, who's going to be your friends? Who are you going to have to watch out for? And that's even in good times too. You might have gang activity going on, around in your neighborhood. The Jimmy Small gang might be running around, and you need to know what they're up to and stuff like that. Talk to your local law enforcement. Make friends with those guys. They can tell you a lot of stuff. I know that's a fact right there.
Do you know there's a website called the Kentucky Association of Mitigation Managers?
Really?
And they have, this has everything on it. It's got flooding and sinkholes and earthquake and emergency response guidelines and disaster declaration overviews, and it's got everything. building code stuff, national floodplains.
I would say they probably got that for every state, I'd say.
Probably.
That might be a
And
good
on this thing, it says that they've got different regional trainings and stuff that you can go to, which, I mean, they're probably for, like in Barron County, there's an emergency management guy that runs that whole division. So that's probably training for those people, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff. That's just kind of scratching the surface of risk management. If y'all want to know more about that, leave us some comments. We can further talk about this more. If we really want to go in depth with it, we can. That is about all I've got for this week. So Shelly, have you got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, guys, we will see y'all back here later on this week. Y'all have a good one. Do something productive. Get on your risk management and start going with that.
Yep. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.